Welcome to the podcast, From One Mother of an Addict to Another. This is a space of sharing heartfelt personal experiences, insightful thoughts, and powerful suggestions, which can hopefully assist and offer strength navigating your journey alongside a loved one facing addiction and mental illness.
Hi, welcome to the episode, Nothing Makes Me Happy. I remember at the beginning sitting there, listening to other people's conversations when I'd go out with friends. I remember people speaking with me and me not being able to talk about what's going on with my own son. And I remember how unhappy I was, and I didn't know what to say to anyone, how to speak. That was when I wasn't even telling anyone about what was going on. And I didn't really know how to even be happy. I didn't know I couldn't barely get out of bed. I couldn't think about anything. I couldn't focus on TV. Barely, made it through work. And all that was on my mind is that, besides feeling sorry for myself, which is obviously something that's, kind of common, although it's really not about us, but it is because it affects our lives as well, and just like the rest of the family. So addiction is not just for one person, it is an entire family, extended family, friends. It affects everyone. And that is where the big issues come in with, how do you even make a conversation with someone when you don't even want to say anything? You don't want to talk about anything. There's nothing to talk about. What's good? What is good at that point? Nothing. You barely know what's going on. You might not even know where your kid is. They're home. They're not home. They're doing mischievous things. You don't know when the next shoe is going to drop. You're constantly worried. You're constantly spending money on situations pertaining to your addict, and at the same time you're just miserable. You're miserable because your own life has fallen apart in whatever manner, shape, or form. Let's just say with our relationships, with our family units, with our friends, feeling judged, feeling alone. All these things pile up. And then it's like, what's the purpose? There's nothing good happening here. There's nothing I have to say to anyone, so why would I want to go out with anybody? All I'd be doing is listening to everybody else's conversations, and it seems pretty good because they're all going on with their lives, and mine always felt at that point like it was just stagnant. Like I couldn't think of anything because my whole life was tumbling. And although it's not your life, it's the addict's life, it's still, as a parent, as a family member, we all know we're all involved. I remember feeling so heavy on my shoulders. I was so entrenched in all my feelings and emotions, I didn't even realize that could mean depression. So obviously, I was in depression. I mean, it's a common thing, and it's not something that's uncommon in normal life with people that just have it and they're immune to it. I could not believe how, I would go work out, come home, and I could not move the entire day. There were times when I'd work from home, work from bed. I don't know how I made it through. I look back, and it was a big blur, a real blur. I think when I really got out of it, and I was able to start working on being happy, was when I realized, something's wrong with me. This isn't normal. I feel so heavy all the time. My blood pressure must have been way off, but which I never did evaluate because I felt, I was younger. I'm sure I'm fine. I'm sure it affected me through life. I mean, who knows what's going to happen later on. But I really feel like when you all of a sudden, you have these small windows, and then you're like, oh my God, what is going on with me? Something's wrong. I need to go see the doctor. And sure enough, I did. And then I went on antidepressants, and it really helped me. And all of a sudden, I started being able to get up. Now, I'm not saying that's like, ooh, happy pill. Nah, I'm not even telling everybody to do that. Endorphins, working out every day, having a good routine for yourself, that totally helps. Having people in your life, yeah. But guess what? Are you really in the mood for people? At the beginning, you don't even, you're still trying to understand what exactly is going on, and the addict is just making life so miserable and uncomfortable and unhappy that how can you be happy? Because when you're living on the edge, so to speak, not knowing how they're going to react to you, to a situation, to an interaction with others, you just don't know what comes next. And the unknown is scary and sad and lonely and not happy. So one of the things that I realized is that when people I've met through the years, they're like, I don't know how to get myself to smile. Why would I smile? I don't even want to be with people, and I don't want to hear about what's going on in their lives. I don't want to talk about what's going on in my life. If I have nothing to talk to these people about, what am I going to talk to people about? How am I going to interact with people? What are they going to ask about my kids? Because most people do. Hey, how are you? How many kids do you have? What do you do? People ask me all the time. And you know what I say? I have one son. He's married. And the other son, unfortunately, it's really not, he's not well. Boom. It used to be, like every so often I would say, listen, my youngest son's an addict. And then I stopped. Because, what I realized is that I don't owe anybody anything. I don't owe anybody to tell them that I have an addict as a son. It's just, I'm estranged. And, the interesting thing is when you say that word, it makes you feel worse because then it makes you feel guilty. Like, oh, okay, they're probably thinking I'm like the worst parent in the world. And my kid, I have no idea where my kid is. And they don't really seem to care. They lost touch with me. And it's been 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. And you have no idea where your kid is. And yet here you are being asked questions. And that's why you really have to be careful what you say to people, because you never know what's going on in people's lives. And even the ones that you think are having their life is perfect and everything seems great and on the right track, it's not always like that. And you and I both know that. So the only way to get that happiness to come through again is really acknowledging where you're at. And it's interesting because these guys from Columbia were talking about this in Stanford. They even taught classes on this. Where are you at right now in your life? Like everyone should evaluate this. It doesn't matter if you have an addict or not. And then when you realize, ooh, I'm at a really bad place. I'm always miserable. I'm a little cranky. I jump at people. I'm not easygoing. Everything seems to be like I'm uptight. I have to do things at certain times. I don't want to be open to change. I don't want to go. I want to eat when I want to eat. I want to do things when I want to do things. Those are things that need to be addressed and looked at when you're at them. So where are you today? Oh, you know what? I'm really miserable. I really don't do much. I don't have many friends. I've really disassociated myself with most people. Okay, well, pick up the phone and start there. Call an old friend, someone that you just haven't spoken to in a long time. Say, hey, I was thinking about you. It's been a really long time. It doesn't have to be that you're going into your pity party stuff and talk about yourself. No. I thought maybe we could do something fun. You want to meet me at the museum? You want to maybe, there's a new place that opened in town. I'd love to have a little coffee there. You want to meet me there? You want to take a walk? And let's just check out some of these stores, or there's a beautiful lake path around this lake near us. Why don't we? It's as simple as that. Literally as simple as that. You see a neighbor walking by, or, get to know them maybe. Those are the kind of things that are going to get you out of where you're at, which is how are you going to be happy? How are you going to find some kind of happiness? How does that happen? When you're so down and that nothing around you makes you happy. And the only way to do that is to start and begin to look at it that way. But first, acknowledge, wow, I'm really unhappy. Like, I'm not at a good place. Like, my life is not the way I want it to be. And why I listened to someone speak the other night about a horrific thing that happened to them. And it's not my story, so I don't really want to explain go into details. But the fact is that this person stood up there and they said they could have looked at it two ways. One way, they could have just given in. But somewhere along the line, it snapped. And they realized, I don't want to give in. I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to keep myself busy, and I'm going to go on with my life. And whatever that takes, I'm going to do it. Now, there's desire. There's like that strength in you that comes from you don't know where. And then there's this other side of you that you just don't have it anymore. You don't have strength. I've felt 10 feet under, and I used to say, how much further can I go? And then I'd go even further. And then I'd go even further. And I'd be like, when is this going to change? Like, well, it's going to change when you acknowledge exactly that you're 10 feet under. And why and how you're 10 feet under. And why you feel 10 feet under. And how are you going to get out of those 10 feet and you're going to start climbing up? What is it going to take to get you to that place? How are you going to get there? And that's just one step at a time, one climb at a time, one friend at a time, one husband or boyfriend at a time, doing things that make you happy, that even if you don't know it's happy, doing other things than sitting at home and thinking about all the things you don't have, thinking about the things that you don't have as a family, thinking about the child that you lost or is not around or you don't know where they are, thinking about all the things that were stolen from you by your addict, the words that were spoken, and feeling so ashamed and uncomfortable with it and unsettled and not resolved. You can't, there's nothing you could do about it. There's nothing I could have done about it. There's nothing. And the only thing I knew is that I needed to start my life. I needed to make a change and do the things that were going to just something different and something that I always thought that I wanted. And so to me, I always wanted to move back to New York. I lived in Florida at the time. And I used to say to everybody, one day I'm going to move back to New York. I'm going to really, I think sometimes in your life, it's just to switch it up a little bit and see. And I made that move. And it really was a breath of fresh air. That's what I have to say. It was a real breath of fresh air. And I've seen people through the years that I wasn't really close with, but were distant, and they would, distant friends, and they would say to me, wow, like when I'd bump into them, you really, look what you did. You picked yourself up, which was so not easy. And you took yourself from all your close friends there, and you moved back to New York, where I have siblings, and I have some close cousins. And that's how I started my life again. And yes, I met someone, but it wasn't about meeting anyone, and it wasn't about relationships. It was really about making a life for myself and figuring out what I wanted that to look like. And when you're not happy, when you don't know how to find anything to make you happy, then you got to realize that and then say, okay, what is it? What is it? Finding someone to be with, is that going to make me happy? Is it seeing my relatives every day? Is it living close to my relatives? Sometimes you got to really do drastic things to change it up, and in order to make yourself a better, healthier way of living. And I felt that by leaving my home at that time, you always take yourself with you, and the memories were not all bad, but The memories are still there. And sometimes if you're not able to put those aside, then you need to remove yourself from that situation, which is common in many things that we do in our lives. But in this situation, for me, I felt that that's the way I wanted to go, and I did it that way. And I don't have regrets at all. So I guess I did make a good decision. For me, it wasn't easy. And I do miss certain things about what I had before. But I also have brought in a lot of wonderful things into my life. And family has always been so important to me. And that's probably what makes me the saddest that I don't have my son with me, because memories and family and growing families make me feel so good. And, someone said, the simplest thing is love. The simplest thing is a hug. We could have all the money in the world. We could have all these beautiful things around us. But if you don't have love, you don't have a hug, then what do you have? You just have all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's that body, that friendship, that connection. And so if you don't have that, then maybe that will make you happy. Getting a hug, because that is a simple thing that costs nothing. And giving someone a hug, acknowledging a hug. And that is a great way to start. Because nothing makes you happy when your kids are not well. Nothing makes you happy when a family member is ill. Nothing makes you happy. But there are ways to bring yourself out of that way of looking at it, that nothing makes you happy. Well, okay, nothing makes you happy. But there you're starting. That's your starting point. And then you go from there. Because when you acknowledge that, what I say is, when you acknowledge it, now you could start getting happy. And now you could start doing things for yourself and figuring out what you really want and what's going to make you happy. So the first step is to acknowledge that you're really not happy and nothing seems to make you happy. Where am I going to go from there? What's next for me? And that's how you start. And it's okay. You don't have to know. Who knows? You don't have to know. And you could change your mind a couple of times. But if you don't try new things, then how are you going to know? You're stuck in that box that's just square. Don't be like everyone else. You don't have to define yourself by your kids. You don't have to define yourself by your family. Define yourself by yourself, who you are, who you want to be. Acknowledge, be proud of yourself. If you're acknowledging you've got a problem and you want to work on it, that's the first step. And that's what's going to get you to figure out how to get out of this feeling that nothing makes you happy. Okay, I hope this helps, and keep listening.
Thanks for tuning in. I trust this episode brought you insight and strength, offering valuable coping strategies. Stay connected with weekly content, plus follow if you enjoyed, and be sure to journal for your own self-care.